right, guys, welcome to episode 41 of Keeping It Real with T and L. Today, I'm obviously here with the amazing Coach Lori, and we have a special guest, Coach Tim. Coach Tim is back with us. For those who remember, the last time Coach Tim was on the show, he's been one of our longtime guests. But that said, he mentioned that he was in the process of writing a book. So Tim is going to be here to talk about his book. It's finally done. He's going to give you guys the whole rundown of what he's learned, and I promise you guys, you will be amazed. I'm very happy at the way that he went about writing and solving this problem. But before we dive into that, we're going to check in with Coach Lori. Coach Lori has had some huge weight loss numbers, and here's what's even better about those. She wasn't really big to begin with. She recently switched a plan and has just been killing it across the board. Let's talk about all the results.
Let's talk about it. So for those that this might be their first episode, like there were a few years during COVID where I gained a lot of weight back, right? Because I started at 235 pounds in 2012 at CrossFit Standard Mountain, and I got down to like, I think 132 in 2018 or whatever, whatever. And then finally made a choice to do 75 hard because he brought that to the gym and then helped me get on track, but like nothing was really working. So I was that person that comes to us all the time, no matter what I do. I can't really lose weight. So it's been 10 weeks now of carnivore. I've had vegetables twice in that time. And then on our anniversary, we actually had affogato, so gelato with a little bit of espresso. So there's actually been some sugar in my life in the past 4 months on one occasion. And today I was like, holy crap, 134, down to like the 134s now, right? Like crazy. And it's important to bring up because one, we are our own worst enemy. We're not going to sugarcoat in this episode, right? We're going to keep it real. So had someone said to me back in 2021, like, holy fuck, how did you get so fat again? Instead of making excuses or, telling me to feel better or, hey, maybe don't eat that gluten-free cupcake. Like, I would have been like, oh my God, I have to do this. Because I think we get lost in our feelings and emotions, or we make excuses, or, oh, I can't lose weight anymore. I guess I'm just that age. Excuses. It's not how many calories you're eating. It's the value of the calories that you're eating. So we talked about this, right? With macro balancing. If I'm eating perfectly structured carb, protein, and fat ratios, and within that, the calories are good. But like you mentioned earlier, well, I'm having 25 grams of jasmine rice. It's kind of like a game over, right? Like you put in the sugar, and what I bring to the gym with MetFix and the training about, cellular health, mitochondria, how things work at a cellular level when we eat food, then you're like, that's why it doesn't work. So once I learned this at the Rogue seminar, in the beginning of summer, or middle of summer, whatever that was, it was like, oh my God, there's no more, genetically speaking, or, I'm just lifting too heavy, or, muscle weighs more than fat. No. You will not be able to get rid of excess body fat if you're constantly putting carbs and sugar, whether it's fruit, a fruit bar, a pie, a cupcake, or a sweetener in your Starbucks drink. It all has the same effect. Your body's been like, 100 grams of sugar from cantaloupe, we're good. 100 grams of sugar from cupcakes, we're not good. It is what it is. It's sugar. It affects things. So without even trying, keeping my same workout schedule, actually having more energy, like 9.6 pounds by just going carnivore for that good reset.
9.6.
Yeah.
When you already didn't have anything to basically move.
It wasn't that bad. Like at 144.5 at the start of that to 134.9 today, it was like, I'm happy here. I'm back in my size 6 jeans. I'm not bitching about anything. Because here's the other thing. It's about your why, right? And we'll talk about this with your book too. Like, why are we eating this way? Why do I care about how I look? Why do I care about how I feel? You have to have a big why. So if you're watching this is your sign from God, the universe, whatever, from the podcast. Get a big why. If you're constantly complaining about vanity pounds or needing to lose weight or not being able to lose weight, or I don't like the way I look, but you're not doing anything to change anything, then you should STFU. It's that simple. Like, we're not going to sugarcoat it anymore. Like, all the answers that you need are here. I've not gone through anything that I feel deprived, sad, hungry, tired. Like some days I'm so full for so long because my body is now metabolically flexible, which we talk about repeatedly, that there'll be an 8-hour stretch where I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to eat. Like I went breakfast to dinner and that was all I needed. And then I look back at my protein. So I'm always checking the protein, right? As a menopausal woman, perimenopausal woman, and I'm like, still hit my 120 grams. Like, it's just like this. You can look and feel exactly how you want to, but you got to remember how to do hard things, right? There's no, you can pay me a lot of money to come cook for you and feed you, but you can do it yourself. And I know you can, but you've got to find why. And I think that's what it was. I wanted to know why people have success on carnivore before I coached it to people. That was the whole thing that brought me here, remember? And I'm like, holy cow, like what's going to happen when I get down to 129 and lower? Because it's coming. It's inevitable. Because your body will get rid of the excess fat that it does not need when you feed it right. And I mean, that's about it, right? Like that's the whole story.
Yeah. No, that's the whole entire story, but there's just so much even more that we should be just letting you guys know with that. So what Lori said, obviously, at where she's at weight wise, the pounds aren't dropping off like let's say I was when I was 405, where I could work out for a week and I'll drop 8 or 9 without even trying. This is to be at this level and not only to have an entire year of consistent damn near working out daily, barbell workouts, watching your food, and for you to still out of that razor's edge make one more fine tune and knock another 10 off of that, off of what you're all like. That would be the equivalent of me for her losing that at her weight would be at me 405 dropping about 30. That's what it would have taken. That would have been probably what I'd have gotten in that same time at that weight. So what's it been, 4 to 5 weeks?
Yeah.
Which was probably the same time it took me 30 pounds when I was 405 pounds.
Yeah.
So like I said,
And
every pound that's that level counts even more, and you know it's that because your strength is still increasing, you're still hitting your PR, your numbers are still heading up. What my next question was, you mentioned how you were basically at this weight in 2018. How did you get there then, and how did you feel?
Oh, so different. Yeah. So in 2018, Tim and I got married September 29th, 2018. And I had already started like trying to lose some weight at the end of 2017 because I was recovering from the parasites and all the health issues, right? So I'd gone through a really tough health time and packed some weight on. So I was probably about 175. And then I brought on a nutritionist. She was great. And she knew I was allergic to wheat and I didn't want certain things. And I just really loved that. But I was really light CrossFit and more accessory work. So I was not strong then like I am now. So to be this low in weight with this level of strength at this age is infinitely fitter. And I look different. My body's different. Like I tried on my wedding dress for anniversary and I'd have to take the waist. It would just, yeah. So my wedding dress I should post a picture so people think I'm full of shit. And you could tell it's true because I have brown hair now and I was totally blonde when I wore it at the wedding. So even if you think I'm full of shit, you could be like, no, you could see the lines are. She's absolutely 7 years older and a brunette now. And so back then it was like lots of the goddess arm workouts, like 3 days a week, a lot of inverted kettlebell, a lot of accessory, not going heavy. I don't think I cycled anything more than 55 pounds on a barbell for a long time, probably 8 months of that to get down to like 132.8 or 9. I'll have to look back at my notes of my journaling with that. So now I'm like slamming around 95 pounds in like 20-minute barbell workouts that you're riding and you're like, holy cow. And like lifting or squatting 1.5 times body weight. Super strong. Feel amazing. And that's why and I'll say this too, and I appreciate all the kind words people give me. Like after being made fun of for 95% of my life, it was hard for me to just say thank you when someone would say something complimentary to me. But I appreciate that. But my retort is always like, but I feel even more amazing than I could have ever imagined. And that's what I want for everyone. I don't run 2 businesses now because I like to be tired and stressed, managing a ton of stuff. Like I want to fix people. I want to help people. I want to be the person I prayed for to help me for most of my life that people need in their life. Right. So that's that's who I am and that's what I do. So thank you for appreciating the changes that I've made from the outside. But I wish there was a way for you to know how I feel on the inside. And just showing you my blood work isn't enough. Like, I feel 10 out of 10, even on my hardest days. Yesterday was a hard day. Feel super productive, took care of a lot of family stuff. Like, emotional things happen and I still get through it. I still don't negotiate where my workouts go. And that's the difference, right? My food and my workouts are non-negotiable. Because nothing matters if I don't do that, because then I can't do what matters, right?
I think one of the big things that you're talking about there that people should know is just the energy and vitality difference from what the nutritionist brought to her in 2018 and what she has now is night and day. It's something where when you do it right, you get the energy, you get the vitality. And that's something that, yes, there's, many ways to slice down the I lost weight answer. That's a piece of the answer. We're going to get into some of that, but that's a piece of the answer. But the vitality that comes out of doing it right is the big thing that you can see the difference. And so that's been really big. So to answer your question about people can see what's happening on the outside, they can see it on the inside too, just because of the energy and vitality.
Yeah, that's cool. Thanks, Tim. I love that perspective.
Oh, yeah. And then the other thing that we're going to just mention too that I really think is kind of cool is just the simple fact, like I've always said it, for anybody who's looking for, guidance or some kind of program. Lori is running the Metric small group programs, and I'm telling you, you're going to want to really think about getting yourself involved, because you guys are going to be obviously working with a coach or the person who's run the program who's battle tested. There's a huge difference here. I just want to make this clear. For example, you could be at the top college in the world speaking with a business professor, so everybody's holding high regard and past 10 years, and this man has never built one business in his life. Or you could sit with someone who's like, hey, I'm a multimillionaire CEO. I could probably show you some data no one else has shown me because I've done it. I'm not talking from theory. I'm not talking from practice. I'm talking from the years that I put in the field that actually got these real results. And that's what you could speak to.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. Like if I were to, let's just say that World War III came and I was told, hey, you could go to war with someone who's already fought for the past 10 years, or you could go with someone who studied war for the past 10 years.
Yeah.
So fucking choose.
No brainer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The dude's already been there.
Yeah.
He's been in the trenches.
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
You walk back.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you know what it's going to feel like 8 weeks in when this is old now.
Yeah.
And I'm still just going through. You will know what it feels like when you're freaking going to bed hungry and your stomach's like, I just want one snack. No, sit your ass in bed.
Yeah.
Just be strong. Yeah. It's like you will be able to speak from actually having to live through those moments.
Because every time you give into that weak moment and have a snack, you're telling your body it doesn't need to go back to how it was designed to use stored fat for fuel. You're saying like, no, leave all that fat there. Go have the peanut butter or the cookie or whatever it is, even if it's a healthy snack. You've got to get that flexibility going with the metabolism so that protein and fat make ATP, just like you were born and raised to think that you need carbs to feed your brain and your marathon, right? Like it's crazy. And to build off of the small group, like everything our members are doing in the different small groups is MetFix. So this body is built by MetFix. This is body by MetFix. This is vitality by MetFix. This is longevity by MetFix, because I'm not going to get taken out by diabetes ever, right? Like, I mean, we've got these skills now. And I think that's important because for a lot of people watching in their 20s and 30s, like we still feel pretty immortal then. Pushing 50 and your only child about to be an adult in a few months, you're like, I need to be here. Not just for my daughter, who's always my why, but for her sons and daughters someday. And to help people in the programs. And I'm nowhere near retirement. Like, I could do this forever because MetFix does not work. I love the small group stuff. I love the health coaching. I love the personal training. Like, because we are not only fixing my patients, but their families and their parents. And you're going to see when our senior program starts in January, how many member parents are, right? Because they want their parents to not be in a right? So this is what's happening and CrossFit standalone because that's my business side of it. Like, this is why, for people that knew me from the beginning, have watched me go up and down, that you're like, you never looked like me before. Because I didn't have Netflix before. This is literally helping body by Netflix. 100%.
That's awesome, Lori. Well, congrats. Obviously, we will talk more and more about however long you choose to stay on Carnivore, results that continue to come, and keep obviously letting us know about all these wins on your own journey.
Yeah.
It's definitely good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now,
Okay, Jimmy.
the reason that you guys are all here, we're going to speak with Tim about his book right now. And so, guys, he mentioned this book the last time that he was on the show. I don't think that was maybe 3 or 4 episodes ago. But he's now back. He's been grinding. He's been writing. So, Tim, with that being said, let's start it out. What is the title of your book, and what is the central idea behind the book, as well as what makes this different than other books that you put on the market now?
So this one is called "What to Eat, Why to Eat," and little tagline I'm working on. May still be a few pages in there, but it's "Fuel your mitochondria, free your red blood cells, find your energy" is the tagline behind it. So the key concept behind that was something that is basically, it came partially from the when I attended the MetFix seminar in Santa Cruz, and part of the idea of that came from just getting back into cellular biology and mitochondria, what's happening there, all of that, and then some things where it's like I've always been just having this question that keeps coming back. And over the years, I've seen, all these different diets. I've myself have done, Pritikin, Zone, Paleo, had a nutritionist plan, done keto, carnivore, different things that I've done over the years. And so there's a lot of different things that I've done. And I've seen a lot more from clients and friends and different things who've done all these diets. And the common theme that I see is almost everybody improves when they switch. And what in the hell is going on if people do diametrically opposed things and they improve, both of them will improve? Switch. And so the thing that I started looking at is, we're pulling levers at the cellular level. We just don't understand what it is. And so which levers we're pulling will depend on what improves. So what happens is maybe I've been, down the rabbit hole on one side and I pull a lever on the other side that's going to actually help the things that I was missing. And so now what's happening is we've got this kind of view, I've seen some really stupid things that pull some levers and had benefit. There's people done some crazy diets, different stuff. You see people on a fruitarian diet or something like that. Something's going to improve. The long-term effects of those things are not great. We see a lot of detriment. So where does this end up happening is that you look at like what's happening to mitochondria, is that when you refresh the mitochondria with something that has been missing, you'll get the improvement fairly quickly. But the problems that build up over time because you start to starve the mitochondria of something else it needs. But it's not starving at that moment. It builds up.
Okay.
And so this is something where, as we're looking at the different things that we're doing with our diet, it's like, okay, so then what are the different levers that are being pulled by the different diets, and what are we missing? And that was kind of the central theme, is just to come back to that. What is it that we're missing? Because all these things work for a reason. I can't deny that they work. They obviously do. I've seen people, lose weight, have some health improvement, different things on stupid ass shit.
Yeah.
And so there's a result. And so why is that happening? And that's something I'm unpacking in the book. And so that's kind of what that book's about.
I completely love that too, because Tim's right. Like, I've heard the most outlandish things. I've heard the classic, I fast for 14 hours and I have a 2-hour window where I eat as much cake and ice cream as I can, and I've lost 18 pounds. Like, just random stuff like that. Or I've heard of the classics where like, even me, where I remember when I was 400 pounds and I just ate there would be some days because I still hadn't overcome my overeating where I would sit at home and eat a whole tricep all to myself in one freaking sitting. But then that next week when it was weighing, I was still down like 4 pounds. And I literally ate like 32 ounces of meat in one go because I just still had that overeating gene just controlling me. And so, but I still was able to get a result. So I would love, so that's how come when you bought this book to me, at first I was like, okay, Tim's going to write a book. I've been waiting for Tim to write a book forever now. And then you laid out something very special with how you explained it. I'm looking at the effect at the mitochondria level. And that was when I was like, okay, we're not talking about fucking an 8-minute abs. We're not talking about this is how you calorie count. This is how macros work. You decided to go to a place that I haven't heard too many people go. This is obviously this part of the cell is where the food is basically going. Like this is what's using it. So if we figure out what this needs, then it should technically solve every problem after that. Like if you're feeding that right, then you probably shouldn't. Then you probably won't be fat. Yeah. If you're feeding that right, then you'll probably have normal muscle development. If you learn to feed that one thing perfectly, that seems to control the only part of the only part in the cell that's controlled by food, we should know exactly what it needs. So then a problem should always be solved because we're not now playing the game of, oh, well, I got lucky doing the Dutchman diet at In-N-Out and lost 15 pounds, and all I ate was Flying Dutchman. Like, yeah. So now you're actually looking like, no, this is what this particular thing needs, and when this is fed right, this result should be automatic every time. That's what makes the book special.
And so, and then it becomes to dive into how do you support that, and that was kind of where I started, and then I had another aha moment, and so that was something. It was like, wait a minute, so. We talk about, that most of the cells in the body have the mitochondria and you need to feed the mitochondria. Well, yes and no. Most of the types of cells have that. Most of the cells in our body are actually red blood cells. So we have more red blood cells than we do any other cell. The difference is red blood cells don't have mitochondria. Okay. And so as we're looking at red blood cells that don't have mitochondria, I thought, well, that seems like it might be a fairly big error to ignore the red blood cell in this whole thing.
Yeah.
And so now the red blood cell ended up kind of working its way into the whole book because it was like, wait a minute, there are things the red blood cell needs that the mitochondria doesn't necessarily need at that same level. And so where's the marriage between the red blood cell and mitochondria come in that the fueling of both of those is done properly and everything and all of that. So we're actually supporting the red blood cells, which the red blood cells are something where, the interesting thing about red blood cells is they can't burn fat. Okay, so they only work off of the glucose, glycogen. And so when you're looking at the red blood cell, it's, you're looking at it and thinking, okay, it needs carbohydrate. Well, yes, but no. It actually performs best off of glycolysis, so carbohydrate made from fats or proteins in the glycolysis process. Okay, and so those are things that are like, okay, so now it's not opposed to what's good for the mitochondria now, because that also is where the mitochondria lives best in a near-ketogenic or ketogenic state. Okay, and so now what's happening in the red blood cell isn't opposed to that, where the red blood cells and like the cells of the lens of the eye also don't have mitochondria because it'd make it cloudy. And so there's some a few other things, some skin cells, different things that don't have mitochondria. But the key thing with that is that the red blood cell requires, and the eye cell requires more antioxidants like your vitamin C and different things like that. And so this is where I started to see, okay, we need to have a system of maintaining these different cells types, the mitochondrial cell, the non-mitochondrial cell. And so this is where a lot of it's developed to now, is that there is an important difference, but at the same time, they're not opposed to each other, but it's kind of like, it's kind of like, I can put the great food on the table for you and your brother, but when you eat it, it's not everything your brother needed necessarily, right? So it's like, so I have to actually do the other side of that too a little bit, but I don't know if that's the best way to state it, but it's just basically like there's a slightly different need for this other cell, right? So that's it.
That's perfect.
Yeah. I'm just going to ask you something. So first of all, I love the way that you talk about mitochondria and the red blood cell, because everything's always connected in the body to each other and they help each other. It like causes, it's all really fantastic. But what in the book helps just the layman, the person that picks it up and they're like, I'm tired of being sick or overweight or no energy? Do you help break down the best way to eat for everyone? Because it really, if you're a human, this is like the best way to eat, right? I know what you do at home because you're cooking and doing things, but like just give us a few minutes about what this nutrition plan looks like, because there's a million and one out there, right?
Yeah. There's a ton of different ways to eat out there, and basically the kind of short synopsis on this, and yes, I'll lay out everything as far as all of the hows and whys and what's to do in the book are pretty well detailed. We're still not quite done yet with the book. I've got quite a bit of work left to do, but I've got the basic framework is put together, and most of the chapters are almost done. But there's a lot left to work on, so it'll be a few, but we're going to get there pretty quickly. The basic behind it is that we're looking at going into a close to a ketogenic state. The base for our food intake would be similar to that of carnivore. So I'm eating animal products to get the proper nutrition for the red blood cells and for the mitochondria, and also support the red blood cells with that. And so that's the big things would be, your carnitine, CO210, some of the things that are in the red meats and different things like that are super important to help support those systems. And so that's kind of where the baseline comes from. And then from there, it's looking at some things like one of the things that hit me a long time back was with Dr. Weston Price, reading some of his work about some of the ancestral food things. And so it hit me that we just don't understand plants and how to use them anymore. And so a lot of this is trying to develop that understanding, unpack how to use plants. And so we're looking for compounds, polyphenols, of course, your vitamins, minerals, and different things, catechins, other compounds in plants that will upregulate certain things in the mitochondria, or they will actually help protect the red blood cells, which the red blood cells are carrying oxygen. So oxygen's super reactive. And so basically the red blood cells will do something called glycation, which you could relate it to rust on steel, right? So the glycation is something stiffens the red blood cell. Now it doesn't flow through a capillary very well, that type of thing. So this is where we need more antioxidant action to help the red blood cell. And so just beyond what the mitochondria would need. Right. And so this is where we have to look at, okay, I need to consider how I need to dose these things out. And then utilizing different plants and things like mushrooms and plants, different stuff like that, to find these nutrients that will help keep the red blood cells pliable so they're going to move through the system. So, and then also keep the mitochondria working well, which the mitochondria, it's something where there's a balance. They create reactive oxygen species, which is something that is a signaling inside the cell. But when the systems are off and the fueling's off, you end up creating too much. And when you get too much, you'll end up dropping the cell signaling inside, moving it outside where it starts to affect other things like the red blood cell in a negative way. It creates more glycation, different things like that. So you're just basically trying to find this balance by finding the right nutrient loading and cycles of nutrients to do that too.
Now, I'm going to ask you, and obviously, because this question right here is important to me for a couple of reasons. Number one, I know how long you've been in this game and in this industry. I remember, I think you told me you've been coaching since '79.
Something like that. You go back to the ski coaching stuff. Yeah, it's been back.
So yeah.
Yeah, really
6 years.
professionally, like 83, I think I started doing professionally.
All right. So Tim's been doing this when my dad was a sophomore in high school. So let's get this down. This is someone who has extensive knowledge. He's learned things about health. He's forgotten things you guys haven't even learned. That's what I'm going to say. So that said, obviously, taking the time and doing the research at this level, did you learn anything new? Basically everything. Like, did you have your own moments where you're like, oh my God, after all this time, I never thought of it like this, or this is hitting me differently?
Yeah, I've been kind of learning throughout the process as I'm going through. It's something where the whole thing was like I had this idea in the beginning that we don't really look at food the right way. We're trying to think of it as, okay, I'm eating paleo because that's the way my ancestors ate, or I'm eating keto because it has a therapeutic effect, or I'm eating this, I'm eating vegetarian because, I don't want to kill an animal, or whatever it is. I have some dogma that I'm following rather than actually trying to understand what's at play. And so, this was the thing that drove it. And so as I'm going through, I'm learning more and more of what's at play, because the curiosity has kind of driven the learning cycle as I'm going through there. And as I'm learning more about it, I'm learning things, like I mentioned, like the red blood cell. It's like I didn't really remember from high school biology or whatever, but the red blood cell didn't have mitochondria. It's like I wasn't really tuned out. I didn't need that in my daily coaching life. And so it's something where as I start to learn that, think about that, like, okay, now what does that mean and how do we apply it? And then going through, so that was one aspect of it. The other thing was like, with the red blood cells, there's a cycling that I'm going to be recommending where we go in with a small dose of carbohydrate on like once every 7 to 14 days. And it's a small dose amount that helps helps the red blood cells kind of regenerate the energy in the red blood cell a little bit. And it also helps with metabolic flexibility, being able to transfer back and forth from carbohydrate to fat. And now we're not talking about what most people think of, that's my day to go eat a cake and, stuff my face with, donuts and bread or whatever. It's not like that. We're talking a small dose. It's targeted nutrient type thing.
Like fruit?
On that. So it can be, fruits can be an option in that type of thing. Could be something like sweet potato. It could also, there's a number of different things that you can utilize, and it's not about restricting specific things or whatever. It's more about it creating the right dose and then also making sure that what we're dosing with has value. It's a thing, and it's basically, if you follow the math, it would be a dose that would be probably equivalent to what someone on keto would eat in a full day of carbohydrate. So we're not talking like I'm going out. Yeah, I'm not talking about going out to a huge, carbohydrate meal.
Okay, so this
pasta, whatever. That's not going to help
you. Costco calzone.
But then again, yeah. So that's not the recommendation, But then again, one of the things that I always think is really important for people to understand, and I do go over that a bit too, is that you're not going to be perfect. You're not always going to hit 100% throughout your whole life on all these things. The thing that makes the difference for your health and everything else is how quickly you get back to the path of what to be best.
Yes.
If you keep learning on how to do things better and you keep coming back to that, then you don't just wander off into the woods. If I'm off in the woods and I find myself off the trail, I tell my clients this all the time. I wrote it in the book. I have 3 choices. I can sit down and cry about it. 2 is I can say, screw it, I'm already off the trail. I'm just going to keep going this way, go out into the wilderness lost. Or I can take a look around, go back, find my trail, and get back on my journey, right? And so it's like, which one makes sense? And in that standpoint, for most people, that's like, well, of course. But why isn't it a fourth when you get off track on a meal? People would be like, well, I already had the cake, so I might as well have, soda to go with it. I might as well do this. I might as well do that. And so we're just going further into the wilderness.
And you forgot the other part. Well, after all that's done, they just sit on the couch and Carnivore. Or they got both parts.
Got it all.
Do all three.
Get it all.
Wait
That's
till
it.
it.
Yeah. So that's I've learned. I've learned a lot, and I continue to learn as I'm like polishing it up. There's still things that are just like coming up. Like I've been doing a deeper dive into intermittent fasting, and finding that it again is following some of the hunches as they dig into some science behind it. Is that intermittent fasting is going to be best applied intermittently. It's not like I don't need to stay on something like that all the time. So this is something where I'm looking for not only the right nutrients, but the right rhythms to keep things moving, and it's not super complex. I know that some of this stuff can sound complex or daunting or like, oh my gosh, I don't get to eat this or that. But it's not something that's that difficult. It's something you can piece together and and you're utilizing foods with intention, which I'm actually finding as I start doing more and more of that. It's like kind of fun to be able to go, these herbs, these spices are actually doing something for me. I'm not just looking as like, okay, I can flavor my food with this. It's like, your flavorings are your best medicine. It's just like, there's Hippocrates that said, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. Well, he wasn't wrong. The food is medicine. It has the thing you need in it. It's right there. We forgot what it was because, it was all, when our side of the world is all destroyed with the conquistadors and everybody came over and took over all the people who are living naturally off the land, right? So we wiped out that knowledge. And so there's no knowledge of that. We carry a little bit of that in some of the cultures, the Indian Ayurveda, I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but and then we've got the Chinese medicines and all those things. So yeah, but that's there's a lot of food knowledge that's still out there, but it's a matter of trying to piece things together, getting what we can from it. We're just try to learn and make them more intelligent, thoughtful way of eating. Love it.
I was gonna say, sorry, anyone born in the last 1,000 years, like that. It was really McDonald's across just food service. Like I jest, but it's true. Like I think about how 90% of the people watching it, they're like, so I can never eat such again. But that's always the first question when someone comes to us for help. How long do I have to do this? How long is it going to take you to get your health back? I mean, I'm not a psychic, and Miss Cleo is dead, so we are out of options. We're going to have to ride this wave. But I think what Tim mentioned is like, you're going to get off the path, or we're going to choose to have a dessert on our anniversary dinner, which the rest of it is just meat and vegetables, because that's how we eat, right? And your weight doesn't change because it resets. Like you lose some weight and everybody stalls out a little bit and they flip out. I call that the reset. That's my new base weight, right? Then I lose some more and I hang out for a few weeks. New big, and it's always been that way. And so, if I choose, I can't think of it. What if I make the zucchini based chocolate cake that we love? That's hella healthy, but it still has coconut sugar in it, and I have a piece. Am I gonna go from 134 to like 144 in a piece? I'm not even gonna gain anything because then I get back on the path. Or what if I have, some potato chips? I haven't had chips in like 7 months. That's because I can't do the oils. The seed oils are, once you know, you can't unknow it.
Once you remove them and eat with them,
and then you're just like, this tastes like shit.
The seed oils are
yellow.
Yeah, you feel it. And like Tim says, he can scrape it off his tongue. But the point is, like, you're going to mess up once in a while, or you're going to make a conscious decision when you're traveling in a different part of the world or a country to eat something that you wouldn't normally eat and enjoy that, and then just get right back on the path. Like, stop thinking about what you're losing and start focusing on what you're gaining. Like your life, your next birthday, your ability to have children. You're not diabetic. You fit in a clothing size that you've wanted to be in your whole life.
Yeah.
Your energy to go to Everest Base Camp, like your client's doing. She flies out Friday. Like, if we could just focus on what's important, we could really all be healthier just by that decision. What's important is not the new Tesla that you just bought And now you work 90 hours a week to pay for it. And, you know, plugging it in somewhere in electricity expensive California is probably a lot more than putting gas in a car these days by far. Like, what are you focused on? What is important? When the end of your life comes and you're looking back, whether you're going up or down, you're going to look back on things. Are you going to be like, damn, I worked so hard and I had so much cake and those cocktails were amazing. And that one buffet that time at the El Dorado up in Reno was legit. I remember that time we ate like 4 crabs at dinner. You're not going to think about that. Like, I don't know why. We are so focused on food here. I was no exception. You were no exception. Dude, Tim used to eat hella donuts in his 20s. You would never know that Tim ate like shit. He would add gluten powder when he was making bread. Like, what are you thinking? We all fall into the trap. We all fall into the trap. But switch your mindset first. Like, what are you doing? What is important? And if your life is that empty, your existence is that vapid, that the only enjoyment you get is being a foodie, you really got to think about where you're working, what you're doing, and what you're working for.
Yeah, that's probably the least of your worries, and that's your highlight. There's a much greater
like
at me and you know,
there's an emotional void there. I mean, we have to talk about why people eat to excess. There's the addiction. There's bioengineered food to make you crave it. So I'm not discounting that. Food and bioengineered food, or excuse me, addiction and bioengineering of food. Absolutely. But it's every day, all you think about is like, okay, I can't wait for the office to come down so I can go to the break room and get those last 2 donuts that nobody's seeing. People tell me about that. They're like, I'm good till 2:00. Okay, that's the cortisol reaction in the body. Like, we know how to fix all this, but you have to start with why you want to be alive. What are you living for?
Yeah, and that's
You
really
can't live for a jelly donut. You can't.
no, it's really important on that. And one of the things that I would say with regards to that is almost without fail, the people who have had the biggest health transformation since I started this business and the fastest health transitions, it's been primarily one thing. And that is that they get excited about what they're eating. That's healthy. It's not about getting diligent about not eating crap. It's about getting excited about eating what you should be. That's the stuff because it makes you feel good. And so you get excited about feeling, it's like, okay, this is actually going to make me feel good. This is going to fuel my mitochondria and my red blood cells. So it's going to fuel that. And my energy is going to come up. Energy's coming up. I feel better. I feel better. And so now I look at that food and I go, you know, that food has something to give me. You know, it's kind of like reaching into the jar with money in it. I can grab out handfuls of money of this. And, you know, when I'm eating the crap, it's like I'm reaching in my pocket and putting those handfuls of money back in the jar, you know, as far as that. And so it's just like, once you get that perspective that it's like, I'm actually putting something in my mouth that's letting me take the money out of the jar rather than putting something in my mouth that's making me put money back in the jar. Right?
I love that.
That's
A lot of people may not understand that, but that makes perfect sense. And I love that because that's
100%.
what they're doing.
Yeah. And it's and the thing is it's not simple. I mean, it is simple. It's not that hard, but what we have to get past is that we make it hard. We make things difficult, you know, and it's one of the things like, is it really more difficult to get up and drive to the gym than it is to drive to a coffee shop? Nothing. Not harder to drive to the gym. Just what you do when you get there, right? And so when you get there, it's something, but basically it all comes down to that initial decision. I'm getting up, I'm driving to the gym, or I'm getting up and I'm driving to Starbucks, or, you know, a mocha frappuccino would take 15 minutes at 9 minutes per mile to burn that sucker on. There you go. So it's something, and that isn't going to help you that much, but it's something that, you know, you have to get to that point where you're like, okay, I'm giving back to myself now, and that can be exciting.
This is a good point, how we make it hard. So we talked about at the beginning of the podcast, people don't remember or are not willing to do hard work anymore. within their jobs, they're like, well, why would I sit here and write this when ChatGPT can write it? Why would I sit here and do that when my housekeeper does that? Or why would I raise my kids when my nanny? Like, everybody's just like, there's so many ways in this area to get by with doing the least amount of work possible. So within that, we become soft. Men and women, like, both are soft, right? Certain feelings are soft and, oh, I don't know. And honest to God, people would look at me like I was like Forrest Gump dumb. I'd be like, the best time to change your food and jump in is during the holidays. And they would just be like, kill yourself. Like, what?
Talking about.
But that's you making it hard. Like, we talk about, like, hey, it's summer, I'm just going to do this, or it's Sober October. I literally, a 30-year reunion, 3 Italian events, the Italian parade this Sunday that we're in, and then like a couple weekend get-togethers, all in October. 0 alcohol will be had. It's sober. Did I wake up every morning like, how am I not going to drink in Little Italy this Sunday? Because I'm not. Because I'm going to have a full-fat cappuccino and feel good about that and not have to put vodka in it or some shit, you know? But we do that. We make it hard. So, you know, jump in with both feet. Why would you not jump into the small group stuff with a healthier recipe cookbook to get you through the holidays, gaining less weight than you wanted to or plan to or were going to regardless, right? Like, the book in itself, the ideas are so common sense and science-based and whatever, but your mindset of like, fuck, I get that up, is the wrong mindset. It's got to be a shift. Do hard things. Get uncomfortable. We have to be uncomfortable, right?
Absolutely.
Remember how comfortable I used to be talking like on, like, what a difference 41 episodes has made, right? Like, I did not want to be on camera. Oh, God.
I don't want people to hear my voice. I used to hear you say that
All the time.
every show.
And now I hope it's in your head all the time when you reach for bad food.
What I'm talking about. That's
I've got a magnet over there for about 10 years. Says life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Sits right next to the ski erg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Yeah,
Black and white, literally.
Yeah. So that is something where, we do have to get out of the comfort zone. But I think that really mostly applies to initiation of action.
Yeah. Do it.
It's not, it's, whether we go into a hard workout or a hard something, it's the decision to do it that we struggle with.
Oh.
It's not so much that we're adverse to doing that hard thing as much as we're adverse to making the decision to do that hard thing. And so, and it's something where we're adverse to it because we view it as a hard thing. And like I was saying, it's not really that much harder than anything else we were going to do, In some ways, if I, sit on the couch and drool on myself and watch 3 movies back to back, I get up and my body is much more stiff and uncomfortable than it is after a long workout. Which one is harder? I don't know. I'm not sure if one's harder than the other. It's something like, but I perceived one as harder, so now it's harder to get going to get there.
Yeah.
So funny too. You're right. That fucking
Netflix is stiff. I can't move.
Have you feeling like you did 800 deadlifts?
Yeah.
But the damn muscle.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's just like, so yesterday in barbell, it was a 21-15-9 of 3 movements, right? And I just did RX plus, not elite, because I let's celebrate my failures. I couldn't hit a 2-pound PR on my front squat. I failed. I can't win every day. I'm not ashamed of it. It wasn't in the cards. Maybe I'll retest it next week when I feel stronger and have more time to warm up. Maybe I'll never hit above 185. The point was I was tired because I was sad because I failed that. It dropped my energy. So I wasn't tired. It dropped my energy. Then I set a timer and I start the back on my own. After 21 of hang power cleans, thrusters, and back squats, I was like, my group vibrated like, you've hit your strength for the day. And I was like, I could just stop right now. Class has been over for 10 minutes. But you know what? I made the decision to finish, right? 13 minutes to get through that. The fastest RX plus, but the real RX plus was Julie because she did 95 pounds. I was like, at the end of the day, I felt really sad and frustrated. I could have quit and walked out, but I finished it. Did well, felt better, got a 90% recovery in my sleep. Like, these are the things. There's that moment in time where we all have a decision to make. And what are you made of? Was I made of like soft weakness, like go cry about it because I didn't get a PR, as if I'm entitled to one every fucking time I come to the gym? Do you know what I mean?
So I completely understand where Lori's coming
Yeah.
right now with these, and something that I wish that I could talk to you guys on a much larger level is what she's talking right here. This is a point that you reach when you've been doing this for a very long time, but it's no longer about skill, not about the fucking looks and the clothes. It's about the will of the human spirit.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, when you reach a point where you're doing it just to see if the human spirit could keep it going, because that's the point that I'm at now with my own program, where I don't care about the compliments anymore. I don't care about the workouts. I don't care that I haven't drank in 10 months. It's, can I still continue this path? Like, am I really, do I have that level of spirit to keep on going? And sometimes that's the win, is just knowing that I didn't quit, or like you said, you continued and you didn't stop.
Yeah.
And that win will may mean more than a 5-pound loss sometimes, because it's going to be moments where you look back on days like that, like, no, I've already overcome more than this right here. I'm going to be just fine. We're going to keep on going, and the human spirit's going to carry on.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
It's all things, all facets of our life.
Yeah.
Like I hear parents are like, I'm going to take a week and just go away, and my kids and husband can't call me because I'm just taking a time out because they feel like they just can't anymore, right? There's times where I can remember back in the day, I would be like, I'm going to go to Target by myself, and you and Ashley are hanging out. I'm just walking the aisles just to like have a moment. And then you go back and you're like, I'm fine. Or, you know, and my food, you're like, God, I really don't feel like cooking today. I cook all the time. I cook, you know, because I cook all of our food, but not all the time, twice a week. But it feels like all the time when you get busy. And you're like, then just throw fucking meat in the crock pot. Get it done, girl. You have had more to deal with in one day than most people encounter in 2 weeks. Right? So it's just like, embrace how strong you are. Stand hard in your conviction, like do hard things, don't give up. And whether it's your food, your family life, your workouts, your work, like you gotta just do hard things.
Absolutely.
One of my favorite things that I always come back to with that is that when you look at a decision, look at it from the standpoint, am I making this decision out of my strength or out of my weakness?
Oh, there's a shirt in there.
And so I think if you just contemplate that the next time you have a hard decision, am I making this, excuse me, am I making it out of my strength or am I making it out of my weakness? That'll pretty much give you all your answers right there.
Oh,
So
that's
speaking
legit.
of that, we are going to start wrapping up, but I want to bring up something to Tim because he brought up that. So obviously, I'm not calling you out. I don't want you to think that at all. I'm not. But obviously, Lori put her mouth, or put her money where her mouth was, and did the carnivore and did the glucose monitoring. I put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to put your money where your mouth is, and just a protocol to show what you can truly do in the diet, and video it and share it so everybody could see how this book has how you followed it to the changes that you got.
So yeah, I've been actually implementing things as I learn them. I'm starting to like build off of and build into a lot of the stuff as I'm building the protocols. I'm actually building my own knowledge of how to eat and what to eat, or what to eat, how to eat. That the title is. I'm building my knowledge, and as I'm doing that, I'm expanding on it because, as I said, there's a lot that I'm learning. There was a lot to unpack, and so I've started including some plant and mushroom foods because of what they provide at the cellular level, and I'm working with that, and I'm still building off of the how to package the whole thing together. I've got a lot of that part of the book done, but I'm still like looking at what's the best way to package it. And so yeah, I'm definitely in on that. That one is good, and I hope that once you guys read it, that you'll feel like it's compelling enough that you'll be doing it too.
Well, that's what I do after carnivore is just switch to that. Take pictures of your food too. I think it's really creative. Microgreens, all this stuff's happening, and I'm like, well, it's good.
Yeah, and that's something where you're just looking. There's so many different kind of subclasses of food that we leave on the table as far as we don't think about. You mentioned microgreens and mushrooms and things like that. So there's a lot of nutrients that you actually can't get from something else. If you skip mushrooms altogether, you can't actually get those nutrients. And so there's some valuable things in there that are helpful. And so it's looking at how do we put those together. And there's the other thing that I'm coming back to more, and I did more of this when I was following Weston Price closer, is that a lot of your best nutrition is the stuff that you throw away.
Oh.
So it's, if you look at, your bones, the drippings from your meat, the skin, like fish skin, there's stuff in there, things that we throw away. It's like, oh, I know she's not gonna.
No.
There's certain things, that have a lot of nutrition that we get there, and that's something where I don't expect that everybody's going to be able to stomach it, because we've come so far away from things like organ meats and all those types of things that actually have the highest nutrition in certain categories. Okay, it's not across the board, but in certain categories. So a lot of those things need to be cyclical in the diet too, because of a lot of high nutrition things need to be cyclical, because they also are something that we can overload. If we're going super high, but it's creating the correct balance. There's things that we need to be eating pretty constantly all the time, and there's things that we should be cycling in and out of the diet and all of that. But it's just kind of learning the rhythms of our kind of learning the cellular rhythm so that we can play into the cellular rhythm rather than playing against it. And that, it comes down to, you learn more about cooking and storing food and why that's important, how we do it.
Is all that mentioned in the book?
Yeah, it's all in the book.
Oh, dude, you guys got excited. There's yeah. So then start the pre-order.
Yeah.
And even though Tim said he's working on the title, that was a verbal copyright and trademark right here, so you can't use it.
Can't use it. Don't do it.
Yeah. So we're getting a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things we're unpacking in that book. That's and each time I come back to it, it's like, but what about this? And so I'm still, kind of pulling the pieces together, but we're getting closer to being able to stamp it in front of it.
I completely love that. And like we said, every coach here who's at this gym, I'm just phrase that. These three coaches who you guys are looking at this gym, everything that we say that we will do, we do. We don't give ourselves any free rides, any excuses. When you see us, everybody puts in work in this group, and we will literally hold ourselves to our own standards. To work, if I'm saying I'm going to eat like this, they will tell you. Even prior to the Metric stuff, for years, I was coming to that same office, warming up the same chicken and veggies for breakfast at 11 o'clock for years.
Yeah.
Everybody follows this. We live what we taught. And so that's why I always say you guys are getting your info from some of the best on the West Coast. I don't know this many coaches, and I know a lot who live it every day. I know some who live it Monday through Friday at their gym in front of their clients. Not so much at home or on the weekend, but we live it every day, 24/7. So if the advice or anything that we're letting you guys know is this is coming from, it's been practiced, it's been tested, and the results speak. So that's how we want you guys to take the info that we give, the stuff that Tim says, stuff that I say, or anything that Lori says, for someone who lives it, practices it. I'll never respect anyone who says something doesn't do. Just do the work.
Do it.
That's it.
You got it.
Anything else?
That was awesome. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Can't wait to
Thanks for being on here.
We'll be editing the books, and then maybe he'll give us a signed copy.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna get my signed copy from Tim. You better believe it. This is about to be the book. This is about to be the game changer right here. All right.
Keep it classy, guys.